Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a special guest, Dr. Vona, here tonight. We are talking about the JonBenét Ramsey, what clears the family and what still doesn't add up. We got a lot to talk about on the other side of this.
I've walked through storms in scars and grace, smile through pain with a painted face. They call me too loud, too much, too strong, but honey, that's the reason I belong. Every scar's a scripture, every tear's a hymn. I found my worth where the light grew dim. They tried to break me, but here's a twist. I turned my pain into a clenched fist. I'm an unbreakable woman, born of fire and pearl. I shine like grace in a reckless world. You can test my faith, you can shake my plan, but I'll rise again. Just watch me judged by the gloss, not the cause. But God don't build weak hearts from gold. He made me fierce and he made me bold. I bend, I pray, I roar, I rise with mascara, tears and battle cries. Don't need your crown, I forge my own. From ashes, honey, I build my throne. I'm an unbreakable soul, dressed in truth and love. The fire don't scare me, it lights my world. You can doubt my voice, but you'll hear my name. I'm holy and hood, and I'm done with shame. For everyone called too much, too loud, too real. You're not to anything. You're exactly what power looks like. I'm an unbreakable soul, through the fight and flame. My scars are stories, my strength, my faith. Faith in my heart, fire in my curls, forever divine. Clutch them pearls.
In the clutch, better tighten the pearls. Drop the cold facts, got the truth for the world. No smoke, no fluff, just the real that we trust. Hold on to your seat, cause I'm coming in clutch. Coming in clutch. Coming in clutch, better tighten the pearls. Dropping cold facts, got the truth for the world. No smoke, no fluff, just the real that we trust. Hold on to your seat, cause I'm coming in clutch. Coming in clutch. Coming in clutch.
Well, hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Thank you all for so much. Thank you all for so much. Thank you all so much for joining Dr. Vona and I. Good to see you all. Hello, guys. Tonight we're talking about the JonBenét Ramsey case. Dr. Vona and I have been wanting to do this for quite a while. And it just so happens Chris McDonough from the interview room did a live a couple nights ago, and that kind of got us back on the train. Before we get started, if you would be so kind, Dr. Vona, and just say who you are and your channel, and mods, if you would be so kind, and continually drop Dr. Vona's chat link to her channel in the chat. I would greatly appreciate it. For the replay crew, it's in the description. Make sure you sub up to Dr. Vona. You will be glad you did, I promise.
Oh, that was so nice. Thank you so much, Justin. I love this group. The same thing, ditto. I won't repeat everything you just said, but my group, please do the same for Justin. And my mod, same thing too. But hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Vona, or just Jamie, whatever you want to call me. But I have my bachelor's and master's in counseling psychology, a specialization in marriage and family therapy, and a doctorate in education. And I teach all different psychologies, like psychopathology, developmental psych, all the psychs at the college and university level for over 20 years. So I'm just giving a little bit of a perspective. I bring the psychology to the group.
That's right. And just Dr. Vona.
I was going to say, for my crew, tell us about you.
Yeah. So she's not diagnosing anyone or anything like that tonight. We're just talking about the case, our opinions and all that. We want to hear from you guys in the chat as well. What's your opinions? Because I know everyone has a very strong opinion on this case too.
And my group hasn't talked about this yet, so I have no idea where everyone stands. So I'm dying to know.
Really, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like I come from the same area as Patsy. I've told people this in the past. I grew up very, very close to where Patsy grew up, and my dad was very good friends with some of the Ramsey family. His name was Alan, and he was married to a woman named Debbie. And JonBenét and I were very similar in age when all of this happened. And I remember going over to Alan and Debbie's house and just hearing about, you know, their thoughts and their opinions on this. And so it's one of the very few cases where I really don't have an opinion. There's things to me where I'm like, that seems a little weird, and we'll get into that obviously. And then there's things that I'm like, there's just no way. There's just no way.
I agree with that. People are asking, where did Patsy grow up?
She grew up in West Virginia. She was Miss West Virginia. I think she went to Miss America too.
Oh wow, I didn't know that one.
If I remember correctly. So, yeah. Patsy always had a lot of big ambitions, and she was very much loved in the community and the state, for that matter. And
apparently one of my mods grew up there too.
Oh really?
Yeah, I had no idea.
So yeah, it's one of those things. We're going to look over some of the evidence tonight, and all of that. And, you know, I just really hope one day that there will be a conclusion to this. And I just want to say, no matter what your opinion is, it's fine. As far as I'm concerned, just use your opinion respectfully, of course.
Yes.
You know, just don't directly say anyone has anything to do with it. Just put, in my opinion, this is weird, or
yeah,
a little sus, in my opinion, or whatever, is, that's fine.
That's great advice.
Yeah. So, Chris McDonough from the interview room, he was live the other night, and he was John, which I gotta say has always fought for his daughter. I mean, he has been on the pavement, so to speak, to really try to find answers even this many years later. And he's lost another child.
I know his daughter Beth.
Yeah.
4 years before that.
Yeah. And I
That's
mean,
heartbreaking. I could not imagine. And excuse me. I think that once he like brings that up, I think that does put him into perspective how he said like how they thought that he was acting suspicious or whatever that first day. But he was saying like, you have to understand that I had lost my oldest daughter 4 years prior. He's like, and I couldn't do anything to help her. But with JonBenét, she wasn't gone yet. Like I didn't know, like, so I felt like he's like, so I was like in active mode, like to help her. And I was like, that's actually an interesting perspective. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot here, a lot here. And we probably won't even get through 10 minutes of the video because we'll be pausing it and talking so much. But
that's all right. We could make it multiple episodes too.
That's right. That's exactly right. I'm trying to find a link here. I apologize, guys.
No, you're good.
So I should have had this ready, but I
could say, just for people that aren't familiar, JonBenét Ramsey, the shocking new evidence here we're going to see with the cold case found, not shocking new evidence, but I do think the DNA evidence and how they talk about, we're going to talk about a lot tonight. And I think that it's really interesting and that this is going to be a great episode. So you guys should hang out. And this happened on May 24th, 2026. They, Chris McDonough and a panel, including John Ramsey, are putting together like an investigative.
Yeah. So Chris works for the Cold Case Foundation. And I think the Cold Case Foundation is on this. And there's, as you will hear here, there's male DNA that was on JonBenét. And they'll like kind of explain about it a little bit more. I'm not going to start it exactly at the very, very beginning. We're just going to kind of scooch a little bit. So maybe let's do a poll. How should I put this poll? What are their thoughts? I don't know.
So on which part?
Just the overall case. Like, what is their opinion? Because you're generally team something suspicious.
It's either the intruder theory, Burke theory, Patsy theory. Like, so do you think it's family oriented or?
Yeah, let me see here. JonBenét.
That's a good
case. Your thoughts. Let's see here. Outside. Well, just put outside the home, inside the home. There we go.
Perfect.
You put a 1 in chat. There is no, because none of us know at the end of the day. And I just don't know.
No, I don't either. And if you're in my chat and or whatever, put a 1 in chat if you think, because I don't have a poll up. I don't think so. Put a 1 if you think, what is it that? What's 1?
I just put inside the home or outside the home.
Oh, I see it now. Oh my gosh, it's right there. See, I told you, straight A stupid. So 1 is outside, 2 is inside. Oh, wow, you guys.
Damn.
Wow.
This is interesting. This is very interesting.
I was not expecting that. I am so glad you asked.
Yeah.
What?
It's one of those that it's the only case I think I can think of where I am absolutely torn, and I can see it both ways.
So I want to believe that John is innocent though, because I don't know. I feel like you guys, I feel like, and I know I'm I'm always on an island by myself. I swear, like it's so funny. But anyway, but I'm okay with that. I'm like, you know what you're getting with me. At least
You're
you
your
know
own
that
thinker. You're your own
yeah,
thinker.
you're getting authenticity with me. I'm
Yeah.
willing to stand on my own island. But I feel here like would John really all of these years, it's been how many years? 30 years now, like would he still be pushing for us to solve this case? And then he has his oldest son promising to like take it over if he passes away type thing. So I feel like
Because John's old. He's old.
yeah, and I
now.
feel like even if he did do something right, then why would you have your son? Like you would really want your son to try and figure out that you did. Like I don't know. I just feel like that's what makes me think like why would he do all that? Like wouldn't you just like put it to bed once they said that you were innocent with that letter?
I honestly have never even thought John, to be honest with you.
You're right. Okay, I gotcha.
Just my opinion though. But again, I don't really like I don't like to talk ill about someone who's not alive either. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or like talk
so this is the deal.
You know
this reminds me of like with Shanann Watts. I don't know if you remember the Watts case, obviously.
Oh yes.
So I feel like there, when I was covering issues of like of parenting and factitious disorder in some instances, and how not necessarily diagnosing it, but like pointing out the different behaviors, I always say this is the thing. I don't like to speak ill of the dead either. So what I like to do is we have to look at facts, right? Because if that's the case, then we're going to be trying to solve this with emotion, and we know that that's not going to go anywhere, right? So we have to be logical.
Right.
So my thing is we can't learn anything if we tiptoe around things. So there's a way to do both, to honor the dead and at the same time point out behaviors, if those behaviors are things that can help us, either prevent something in the future, point something out, maybe explain a behavior, things like that. So that's my opinion about that.
Yeah.
So you can do both.
Okay, let's give credit where credit is due of the interview room. Our friend Chris from the interview room.
I can't believe this poll you took.
I know.
I'm dead. I can't believe this.
I know. Okay, so we're going to start here. I also want to talk about the note. I want to make sure we get to that because I've got some diagrams and stuff on that. I've got the actual documents of the letter versus even like Patsy's.
Oh, well, I have none of that, so I can't wait to see all this.
Yeah. And all that. So, but okay, here we go. Let's, I don't know if I'm at the right spot, but here we go. Actually, John's having a hard time here. John, call me.
Oh,
He
not
was
my
having a hard
personal
time.
one.
His first
Division commander.
Hold on.
I don't know. You must have kicked me off.
Let me pull it up here where we're starting out. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows about this case. I'm sure you don't need an introduction. Okay, here we go.
Circle, if you will, in an area of consideration. And which the first time
We're going to get to where John
the
starts.
Senate court dropped to this case from a perspective of interest. And but John Ramsey could certainly talk about his experience.
at the time, but it was introduced.
Here we go.
John came. I didn't know of him at the time, but was introduced to him, and without any, preface or any really background on who he was. But we spent a fair amount of time with him, and actually he came to Atlanta. We were going back to Atlanta, which was really our home, and we were.
Is he talking about Lou here? I can't remember. Do you remember? Like, no, he's talking about. Go ahead.
I think it is Lou that they're talking about. And just in case people aren't, that was the investigator that winds up taking on this case. And then even after he was hired at first, and then that money ran out, but he continued with it because he became so passionate about it, right? All the way up
He
till
became obsessed with it.
yeah.
It was an obsession for him. And Lou was very interesting guy. Like he had his own style about him, and there's recordings of him speaking about this case, and they are so fascinating. That would be a good live stream, just listening to his freaking
I would love
recordings
to hear them.
about this. I'll send them to you so you can listen to them. I mean, it's
I will have to do that too.
amazing, because it was an obsession.
Oh,
And
I'm down. I'm all about looking at that behavior.
he ended up dying, unfortunately.
Going back there for JonBenét's funeral, because we had a cemetery plot there, and that's where we wanted her buried with my other daughter. And then John came to Atlanta, as I recall, later, and probably spent a couple, 3 days with us in our home, as I recall. But we just talked, and the main thing I remember about John, after we spent quite a bit of time with him, he said, well, if you had done this and you can act the way you do now, you're the most diabolical criminal that's ever walked the face of the earth. And I guess that was a compliment.
And that kind of just goes with what you were saying, Dr. Vona. Like, he's done this for over 30 years, or about 30 years, fighting for justice for his daughter.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine why he would just keep it up. I don't know if he had something to hide.
Yeah. I mean,
so we got to know John, and over the next year or two, I guess, really, he testified. When the grand jury was called, ultimately, and several years later, he testified to the grand jury, and he said they weren't very nice to him, as I recall. So, but I think, became
that's right, Amy.
Sympathetic to our plight, and believed that we were being wrongly accused by the police. So we were grateful for that opinion.
You remember in the 90s when this took place, this was on every magazine cover in the grocery store. It was on every, like this and O.J. Simpson.
Yes. And I think that the big thing with this is that not only was she a young child, but especially like up here in the North, like to see this young girl with her hair done and her makeup and the outfits, I think that alone, like even, God forbid, whether something happened or not, I feel like just she would have taken people's eyes away anyway, because in a good and bad way, like in a good way that she was like such a beautiful kid, but in the other way, whenever you have that, you also have people that are looking at this the wrong way too. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So, and who knows, that could have played a role. We never know.
It absolutely
not in the newspaper, but like in the, like maybe knowing them within the neighborhood.
Yeah. I mean, that it could have absolutely been the reason Jean was unalived. You know what I mean?
Do you know if that one guy, and I know if I don't ask you, I'm going to forget. Do you know the one guy down the street or whatever, they're like close, and he was like obsessed with JonBenét, and he has the friend that speaks out now, and he has like all the drawings. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Wasn't he on Lou's list?
I think so. I think so. I think his name did come up, and
I don't think he didn't meet the DNA though, did he? Because didn't they put it in CODIS? He would have came up, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think he was a big criminal. You know.
But that was interesting.
That was very interesting. I mean, he told his friend, and his friend ended up coming forward.
I would have too. Like even if you know. He didn't seem as whatever as John Mark Carr. That guy just seemed like, I feel like his story from the beginning, people were like, no, like what? But this guy, I feel like he knew too many details. But that could have just been me.
Could have been obsession or whatever, you know.
It could have
I
been
don't
obsession, and he could have fantasized about it and just never did it.
creeps, man.
Yes.
John did call me afterwards, and we discussed how that meeting had gone, and it was in direct contrast to what our initial conversation was about, because the expectation was that it would be focused there within the family.
Yeah.
And John was the first, to my knowledge, the first expert to assess it as a profiler and make the determination or opinion, give the opinion that this was not a family crime that had occurred.
Mm-hmm.
And he was convinced that it was nobody within the family that was responsible.
Now, I think you kind of know where Chris and the guys on the panel stand here. They wholeheartedly, it seems, I don't want to speak for them, but you can kind of take the sense that they believe that the family has nothing to do with it. Someone was just mentioning Deception Detective, our friend Deception Detective. He is on the absolute opposite end of this spectrum on this case. And he, in his opinion, it seems like, again, I don't want to speak for him, but it seems like he thinks someone else.
Oh, I can't. I need to look into that. I've
Oh,
seen
yeah,
this one, like,
he does a lot
Daniel.
of really good videos on.
Oh, I'm gonna have to look. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were grateful for that opinion, and obviously he was right. The police decided literally on day one, and we know this for a fact, that in fact they felt I had killed JonBenét. That was their decision on probably within 24 hours before any evidence or any information came in from the forensic group and so forth, because I didn't act right. And
This is interesting.
That assessment was made by somebody who really hadn't had the experience in dealing with homicides or that kidnapping situation, which it was at the time. In my mind, my oldest daughter had been killed 4 years before JonBenét died in a car accident. I got a call at the middle of the day from my brother. Beth was in a car accident and she's gone.
Excuse me.
And of course, I was devastated beyond words, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't help her. I couldn't get her to a good doctor. It was over. No alternative. No way I could help her. JonBenét wasn't over that morning. I really thought I could get her back if I kept my wits about me. And so that's what was driving me. I'm going to get her back. I could do something.
That's really an unimaginable heartbreak. One child, but losing two children very tragically in their own respectives.
And not just that, the fact of, like you said, losing one child is, I mean, not only bad enough, but statistically to lose a second child is slim to none. So I could imagine that he never once thought that there was a possibility that something like this could ever happen. So I do try to put myself in that thought process too. Like, just because he wasn't acting the way maybe one of the investigators thought he should act, like, does that really mean that it was not the way you should, And another thing I want to point out or ask, really, didn't Chris McDonough have a child that died as well, right?
Yes.
So I'm sure, and again, I'm not speaking for him, but I'm sure that there's an attachment.
There's a bond
here.
there.
Yeah, bond.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's a club nobody wants to be in.
No, I do never want to be a part of that club.
Yeah. So yeah, like, just for those of you that's not very familiar, they were looking for JonBenét around the house, and just seeing if, well, they weren't looking for JonBenét, actually. They were looking to see if anything was damaged around the house, and they were walking with the detectives, and there's this I don't know if it was a boiler room or a wine cellar. I can't remember, but it was kind of in a very inconspicuous place.
I think they called it the wine cellar.
Yeah. And they had looked in there, and that's where JonBenét was. And she had a garrote around her throat. And
They're
John,
not easy to tie, right? Like
I mean,
just like I don't know that I would even know.
it's really just a string and you twist from what I think. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Like but everything was taken, everything that was used was from the home, but there was things that was left at the house, like a mag flashlight, and there was something found outside the home. I'll think of it in a minute.
So if there was a flashlight found, then how could it be someone in the family? Like if something was added.
I mean, according to the family, that was not theirs.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So according to the family, it wasn't theirs.
Right.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So
do they know if it was used to like hit her?
don't know.
Interesting.
Their house that house was very uniquely built. It's like there's a lot of levels.
Yeah, it
to
looks
that
like you
house.
get lost in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone said that it wasn't like a true garage. I don't really know my knots, so
Yeah, I think I've got a diagram I can show you here. Just a second, let me find
Just
it.
got to be sure I do everything I possibly can to do it right to get JonBenét back. And if the so-called detective that was there that morning expected me to be crying in the corner, beating my head on the wall, that wasn't going to get it done. I wanted to get my daughter back, and I thought I could if I really kept my wits about me. So if that was not acting right, then I'm sorry, but that's the perspective I was coming at the JonBenét's kidnapping with.
So, right now in modern technology, the Ramsey family we will tell you from the perspective of our foundation, they have been 100% open with our organization. 100%. They have not held back. They introduce us to Kurt. They introduce us to anybody or anything the foundation needed to follow the evidence and discuss, some of the ideas that we're going to be talking about tonight. And so one of the things I want to point out to the audience, I want to bring to everybody's attention once again, the reality of what is at stake here.
Everything is great.
What's at stake here is over 30 years of information, with the 30th anniversary coming up in December. And there's a lot of galvanized opinions in the world about this gentleman right up above us here. From FBI profilers who, feel that they had, some insight into, certain things. And that's okay. They're entitled to their opinions. Okay. However,
Do you remember that woman who worked for, I want to say she worked for the Boulder Police Department? She said she was the only one there at the time.
yes,
And-
that's the one that she said that he didn't act the way that she was expecting him, right? Wasn't she like
and
afraid of him?
she said John looked up at her and they made like this eye contact, and she said it, she like, if I can remember correctly, forgive me, I'm sure someone in chat remembers, but like she puts her hand on her Gun.
Yes. And she remembers that she only has like one or two or something.
Yeah.
And yes, I do remember that. This is the thing, though. We have to remember that
That's it.
at the time.
That's it.
Yeah, but at the time, right? She, I wonder what made her have that perception.
Yeah. I mean, she had big eyes too. She was like,
I remember. I know. That's what I mean. Like, I thought it was a little, like a little weird too.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that interview.
Oh,
as
Linda,
long
that
as-
was it. Linda Arden.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That's it.
I was just like, I'll never forget that as long
To
as I
this
live.
day, I think she like triples down on that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing, though. I always tell people, right? Perception is reality, even when it's not real. So whether that was real or not, that she had a reason to feel that way, her perception was that she was in danger. And I genuinely believe that she believed that she was in danger. So whether she was or not is a different story.
Sure.
But I
Yeah.
feel like when you watch her like not testify, but like talk about it, like you could tell that she believes that she was clearly in danger, even though
Yeah.
that might not have been
The
accurate.
case. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't take a position
John got a call.
as an organization. We follow the evidence. Whatever that might mean for you, the audience, we hope you will.
Okay. So the Boulder Police Department they blamed the family pretty much from jump. And the Boulder Police Department came out and they did write a letter to John Ramsey a couple years ago as kind of an apology.
And that was after Patsy already passed away, right?
Yeah, Patsy died in 96. Or not 96, 2003, I think it is. JonBenét didn't go missing till 97. Sorry, or maybe it was 96.
96, I think, like
96,
December of 96.
Yeah, I think it was April when they made them the official suspects at the time.
Yeah, that's terrible if it's not, if it was
Yeah.
if it's not real.
Yeah. And, Boulder was, it was a lot smaller in 96 than it is today. That's for sure. That's for sure. So, but listen to this
The
letter right here.
audience is a piece of that truth. And that is this letter right here. I'm going to read this letter for everybody to just have a clean slate. This was a letter given by Mary T. Lacey, District Attorney of the 12th District in Boulder, Colorado. And it's addressed to Mr. John Ramsey. I want the public to once again really realize what the context of this letter. And here's what it says. And I'm going to read it paragraph by paragraph. And then I want you to apply the thought principle of a 9-year-old little boy.
Now, I've always thought it was ridiculous that Burke was being blamed. I have always thought it was absurd, to be honest with you.
Yeah, what are the chances that a 9-year-old would be able to? I mean, he was 9.
Not a chance. Not a fucking chance. He never did this at all.
No, I agree with that.
Not a chance. But
There
listen
are
to-
people that truly believe that, though.
Oh, absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
thought I'd
Well,
turn
because there was a hit piece, in my opinion, that came out on him several years back. I think it was a big network that did it.
Absolutely. And then he went on like Dr. Phil and stuff. And
Yeah. And there was like the way he was looking and stuff like that.
And what a letter like this would do to a family who's been trying to tell the public that a 9-year-old little boy has been suffering under the pressure of public opinion. And here's what it says. Mr. John Ramsey, as you are aware, since December 2002, the Boulder District Attorney's Office has been the agency responsible for the investigation of the homicide of your young daughter, JonBenét. I understand that the fact that we have not been able to identify the person who killed her is a great disappointment that is continuing hardship for you and for your family. However, significant new evidence has recently been discovered through the application of relatively new methods of DNA analysis. This new scientific evidence convinces us that it is appropriate, given the circumstances of this case, to state that we do not consider your immediate family, including you, your wife, Patsy, and your son, Burke, to be under any suspicion of the commission of this crime. I wish we could have done so before Mrs. Ramsey died. We became aware last summer that some private laboratories were conducting a new methodology described as touch DNA. One method of sampling for touch DNA is the scraping method. This is a process in which forensic scientists scrapes places where there are no stains or other signs of the possible presence of DNA to recover for analysis any genetic material that might nonetheless be present. We contracted with the Bodie Technology Group, a highly reputable laboratory recommended to us by several law enforcement agencies, to use the scraping method for touch DNA on the long johns that JonBenét wore and that were probably handled by the perpetrator during the course of this crime. The Bodie Technology Laboratory was able to develop a profile from DNA recovered from the two sides of the long johns. The previously identified profile from the crotch of the underwear worn by JonBenét at the time of the murder matched the DNA recovered from the long johns at Bodie. Unexplained DNA on the victim of a crime is powerful evidence. The match of male DNA on two separate items of clothing worn by the victim at the time of the murder makes it clear to us that an unknown male handled these items. Despite substantial efforts over the year to identify the source of this DNA, there is no innocent explanation for its incriminating presence at three sites on these two different items of clothing that JonBenét was wearing at the time of her murder. Solving the crime remains our goal, and it ultimately resolution will depend on more than just matching DNA. However, given the history of the publicity surrounding this case, I believe it is important and appropriate to provide you with our opinion that your family was not responsible for this crime. Let me read that again. I believe it is appropriate, it is important and appropriate to provide you with our opinion that your family was not responsible for this crime. Based on the DNA results and our serious consideration of all other evidence, we are comfortable that the profile now in CODIS is the profile of the perpetrator of this murder. To that extent, that we may have contributed in any way to the public perception that you might have been involved in this crime, I am deeply sorry. No innocent person should have to endure such an extensive trial in the court of public opinion, especially when public officials have not had sufficient evidence to initiate a trial in a court of law. I have the greatest respect for you, for the way you and your family have handled this adversity. I am aware that there will be those who will choose to continue to differ with our conclusion. But DNA is very often the most reliable forensic evidence we can hope to find, and we rely on it often to bring to justice those who have committed crimes. I am very comfortable that our conclusion that this evidence has vindicated your family is based firmly on all the evidence, including the reliable forensics DNA evidence that has been developed as a result of advances in that scientific field during this investigation. We intend in the future to treat you as the victims of this crime with the sympathy due you because of the horrific loss you suffered. Otherwise, we will continue to refrain from publicly discussing the evidence in this case. We hope that one day, we hope that we will one day obtain a DNA match from the CODIS data bank that will lead to further evidence and to the solution of this crime. With recent legislative changes throughout the country, the number of profiles available for comparison in the CODIS data bank is growing steadily. Law enforcement agencies are receiving increased numbers of cold case hits on DNA profiles that have been in the system for many years. We hope that one day soon we will get a match to this perpetrator. We will, of course, contact you immediately. Perhaps only then will we begin to understand the psychopathy or motivation for the brutal and senseless crime. Respectfully, Mary T. Lacey, District Attorney, 20th Judicial District, Boulder, Colorado.
Well, they really summed it up there. Their opinion on that. However, I do want to show you some of the lab results about that. This comes from the Bodhi technology. This was ran April 18, 2028, and this was from the Barbie nightgown that JonBenét had on the exterior and interior, the bottom and the front of the nightgown, exterior of the left shoulder region, front and back nightgown, exterior of the right shoulder region, front and back nightgown, exterior of the interior of the bottom of the back of the nightgown. And there was blood standard JonBenét victim, blood standard. They tested against, of course, JonBenét, brother Burke, Patsy, John, Melinda, that's the half sister from John, John's other son, half brother, and let's see here. The DNA profile obtained from the sample contains a mixture of at least 2 individuals, including the victim, and at least 1 male contributor. The individuals associated with the samples, John B. Ramsey and all of them, are excluded as possible contributors of the mixture profile obtained from the sample. The individuals associated with Burke, Patsy, cannot be excluded as possible contributors to the mixture DNA profile obtained from sample 2S07-10107A. So, and then it goes, the DNA profile obtained in the sample contains a mixture of at least 2 individuals, including the victim. The individuals associated with the samples of John B. Ramsey, John Andrew Ramsey, and Melinda Ramsey are excluded as possible contributors of the profile. The individuals associated with Burke Ramsey and Patricia Ramsey cannot be excluded from the possible contributors of the DNA profile.
Wait, what's that? Wait. Repeat that last part. Who couldn't be excluded? I was not ready for that.
Burke and Patsy.
They can't be. So my question was going to be to you that because JonBenét has similar DNA, right, as Patsy and Burke, could that mean that they couldn't exclude them? So that's crazy. So when you just said that, I wasn't expecting that. So that means yes.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And then let's see here. The individuals associated with. Okay, and then the fourth one is the DNA profile obtained of the sample 2S07-101 contained a mixture of at least 2 individuals, including the victim, and at least one one male contributor. The individual associated with the samples, Patricia John B. Ramsey, John Andrew Ramsey, and Melinda Ramsey, are excluded as possible contributors to the mixture of the profile obtained in the sample. So,
Wait, are they on John's side, Melinda Ramsey?
yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. The
Which
individual
means that
associated with,
John is excluded, pretty much is what that says to me.
yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that. There's a few things real quick. So wasn't Cuffy's right? Wasn't she wasn't wearing a nightgown, was she? I thought she was wearing long johns or something.
Yeah. I said she was wearing the nightgown. This was, where was it? I can't remember where the nightgown.
I think it did say nightgown or something.
No, she was wearing pajamas. But these are the ones that, let me see here. I've got more tests. And they did these right here.
And one of the arguments,
Long johns. Here we go. Here's the long johns.
Long johns. That's what I remembered. Long johns. And one of the things I do remember. Do you remember when you were saying that hit job or whatever you were calling it? Was that the one where they had the Asian doctor who was saying that there's a possibility with the touch DNA that somebody that did the packaging could have transferred DNA? Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think
I think it's very possible.
Does this now say, but if it's on 3 different pieces, does that make it more unlikely that it would just be by chance? Because didn't they find it on her underwear too?
Yeah. This one is the exterior of her long johns, top right half, top left half, interior top half of long johns, interior top left of long johns. And this one is from 2007. And it says table 1 also contains an, quote, unknown male 1 profile deduced by the Denver PD and submitted by the Boulder County District DA December 3rd, 2007. And it says DNA processing results and conclusions. Evidence items, those evidence items that we're talking about, were processed for DNA type analysis for the 13 CODIS, let's see here, and the gender determining locus. Let's see here, let's find it. Appropriate positive and negative. Okay. The DNA profile obtained on the sample contains a mixture of at least 2 individuals, including the victim and at least 1 male contributor. The individual associated with the unknown male cannot be excluded as a possible contributor to the mixture DNA profile obtained. And then it says the probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual who would be included as a possible contributor to the mixture of the 13 CODIS, 1 in 6.2 thousand in the U.S. Caucasian population, 1 in 12.0 thousand in the U.S. African population, 1 in 6.6 thousand in the U.S. Southwest Hispanic population, 1 in 6.2 thousand in the Southwest Hispanic population. The paternal DNA profile obtained on the sample contains a mixture of at least 2 individuals, including the victim and at least 1 male contributor. The individual associated with the unknown male 1 profile cannot be included or excluded from the mixture DNA profile obtained by the other sample. The partial DNA profile obtained by the sample contains a mixture of at least 2 individuals and including a major component victim profile and at least 1 additional minor contributor. The minor contributor is low level, contains allergic dropout, and therefore is not suitable for comparison. The DNA profile contained and the sample contains a mixture of at least 3 individuals, including the victim and at least 1 male contributor. Due to the complexity of the mixture, it is deemed unsuitable for further comparison. purposes.
So if they say it's one male contributor, does that mean that there's one female?
No. One male contributor. It's the unknown male.
Right, but they're saying there's at least one unknown male.
Mm-hmm.
So are they saying that, like, are they saying that they know that it's not a female, or could it still be?
No, it's there is male DNA that was on.
But they said there's at least three, right? So who's the third?
In this one, let's see here.
Like, that's interesting, right? Because I think I was just assuming there was one other than JonBenét. But if there's two other than JonBenét, it was like the very last thing you read. It said something like there's at least three.
So the DNA profile obtained on the sample 2S07-10105A, that is the exterior top right half of her long johns. Okay. It contains a mixture of at least two individuals, including the victim, and at least one male contributor. Contains at least two individuals, including. Why do they say that?
Right? That's what I thought was weird, that the fact that they said.
So it just means her and someone else.
But then I feel like when you read down further, they said three contributors, which would be like weird. Why would they say it one way and then another way?
Okay, here we go. The partial DNA profile 2S07-10105B, that is the exterior top left of her long johns. On the right hand side of the long johns, it was just her and a male. On the exterior top left half of her long johns, it is at least two individuals, contains a mixture of at least two individuals, including the victim, and at least one male contributor.
So then that would just be her and the male.
Yeah.
I swear there was one that it said a third contributor. I don't know why I heard
Let's see here. Okay, you're right. It does. The DNA obtained by sample 2S07-10105D, interior top left half of long johns. That contains a mixture of three individuals, including the victim, so two others and her, and at least one male contributor. But it says, due to the complexity of this mixture, it was deemed unsuitable for any further comparison purposes.
Wow. That's interesting. But people are saying how because it's touch DNA, could it be like she was touching things?
Yeah, I mean, you got to realize this is Christmas Day too. She's playing with her toys. She's, And
who knows if she just got those for Christmas and those long johns and, they were
DNA's everywhere. It's everywhere.
That's interesting. And there's probably, because I thought that it was a little bit, like I was thinking, what are the chances that they found or they have DNA that they could put into CODIS and that there's no match? Like for me, I feel like, don't you feel like this was a person that, I mean, I guess not. I guess there's an argument that maybe not, but I'm thinking like, wouldn't you think that this person would be in the system? But I guess not necessarily.
You would think. Okay, so this is the narrative in the report, 12/26/96, Ramsey. Narrative: I responded to 755 15th Street in the city of Boulder, Colorado at approximately 0:55 hours. On the 26th of December 1996, on the report of a possible kidnapping. Upon arrival, I met with a distraught Patsy Ramsey and her husband, John. John advised me that their 6-year-old daughter, JonBenét, was missing and that their 9-year-old son, Burke, was asleep upstairs. John directed me through the house and pointed out 3-page handwritten notes which was laid on the wooden floor just west of the kitchen area. He told me that his wife had found the note on the bottom of the steps, a spiral staircase which led to the upper levels of the house. I'm uncertain about who moved the note, in parentheses. The note advised that the Ramseys, that their daughter was in the possession of a group of suspects and demanded a ransom, $118,000, to be delivered by the means detailed to them letter in a subsequent telephone call. I spoke with Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey while Bert continued to sleep. Miss Ramsey told me that she had gone into JonBenét's room at about 5:45 a.m. to wake her in preparation for a short trip to the family was to take later that day. She found JonBenét's room empty and then discovered the note. As she walked down the stairs, she immediately called the police. A quick inspection of the interior of the house, as well as talking to Miss Ramsey, indicated that there was no obvious sign of forced entry or struggle. Mr. Ramsey told me that the house appeared to be locked up as it had when they left. The Ramsey had an alarm system inside the house which was not engaged as normal for them. They have a small dog, but he had spent the night with the neighbor across the street, which is also normal. Both Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey stated that they had not heard anything unusual during the night. As there was no initial refuting evidence, I advised SGT Rambrock, that's how you pronounce it, that it was possible an actual kidnapping was proceeded to control the scene, such as, that's broken up there, which I think it is, SGT, paging advocates, detectives, and crime scene investigators within 15 minutes, redacted and redacted and redacted and redacted. All friends of the Ramseys arrived at the house by 6:50 a.m. OFC Weiss and OFC Barklow were photographing and fingerprinting areas of the house, and OFC had collected the ransom note. Reverend redacted of the St. John's Episcopal Church in Boulder at the house at the house at 7:13 a.m. joining victim advocates redacted and redacted in the house with the others. Detectives Linda, remember her? We were just talking about her a minute ago. And Fred Patterson arrived at the house at about 8:10 a.m. I was concerned with gathering information from Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey. They told me that they had spent Christmas night with redacted and that they had arrived home at 2200 hours. Mr. Ramsey said that he read to both the kids for a short time and they were in bed by 22:30 hours. Miss Ramsey said that JonBenét had been dressed in a white long underwear and red turtleneck. JonBenét and Burke's bedrooms are separate and are located on the second floor of the 3-story house, with the master bedroom and the top floor. JonBenét's bedroom had an access door to the second floor porch, which was locked and undamaged. As Mr. Ramsey made preliminary telephone calls to gather the demand amount money, he told me that the only other people with keys to the house are their housekeeper, redacted, which she just died, by the way, a couple years ago, the housekeeper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and 2 relatives in Atlanta, Georgia. Miss Ramsey told me that redacted and redacted had spoken to her on the telephone on the morning of the 24th, asked for a loan for $2,000. Redacted had called again later that day and seemed upset. An argument with her sister, she made plans with Miss Ramsey to come by the Ramsey's house while they were out of town to pick up the check, which Ramsey would leave for them. When redacted, Patricia, Patsy Ramsey's mother was advised by the telephone of the incident. She asked the officer on scene to be told of redacted, often commenting how beautiful JonBenét was and if Miss Ramsey was concerned about her being kidnapped. Miss Pugh's comment was relayed to me by redacted. These factors relating to redacted were given to DET, and she began to develop background information on redacted. Miss Ramsey told me further that redacted lived in Fort Lupton with her husband redacted and the 12-year-old daughter redacted. Hoffman also had 2 daughters in their 20s redacted, and redacted also rents the house she lives in from her sister. 2 other possible suspects were given by the Ramseys. One was an ex-employee who had been fired during the past summer and had threatened to threatened to hiring down Access Graphics. I don't know what that means.
The words are too little for me to.
Yeah, they're really. Miss Ramsey's business. His name is redacted. Mr. Ramsey contacted his personnel department to gather information on redacted for the detectives. The second person mentioned was redacted, who lives in Louisville. She was JonBenét Ramsey until 2 years ago and had a very close relationship with her. This relationship was the only reason redacted was mentioned, as the Ramseys were trying to allow for all possibilities. Between the time of consulting the detectives and the family, I walked through the lower level of the house and the garage looking for obvious evidence. Although somewhat messy due to the season, the residence did not look out of order. In the basement, I attempted to open the door leading to the area where JonBenét was ultimately found, but it was secured by a wooden latch above the door. The door opened inward, and I was looking for access out of the house since the door could not have been used for those purposes, and it was latched closed. I did open it shortly after DET at Sergeant Whitson arrived at the house after 10 a.m. I was released from the scene and went to the PD to begin the original report. Just after 1300 hours, I heard a radio traffic concerning a 911 call and the discovery of code black body at residence, and I returned at 755 15th Street with OFG Morgan. I spoke with redacted, and he told me that JonBenét had been found in the basement by Mr. Ramsey while redacted, and Mr. Ramsey were looking through the house. Mr. Redacted told me that he had opened the door to that area earlier in the morning and had not seen JonBenét's body inside. I secured the area around while Mr. Ramsey had laid the body and assisted it getting the family and friends out of the house to close the crime scene. I left the house for the second time at approximately 3:45, and OFC, we were securing the area of the front and back, respectively. Burke Ramsey was awakened by his father shortly after redacted arrived at and was taken to the redacted residence as soon as he was dressed. I did not speak to him other than to walk him and Mr. Redacted to the vehicle. He seemed confused and was crying, and Mr. Ramsey again told me that he had slept through the night. Conclusion: preliminary indications of the abduction of JonBenét Ramsey from the residence given way upon the discovery of her body in the residence. Homicide investigation is begun and continued by detectives with the reclassification of this incident to be forthcoming. What's your thoughts on that?
So real quick, is this the police report?
Yeah, I'm This is the preliminary, I guess you could say, the field report, as they say it.
Gotcha.
Na-
So you said, what's my whatever? On which part? There are so many parts here. So there were a
Go for
few
it.
things. I mean, of which part? There's so many parts here. I mean,
Well,
overall, I think it was a good narrative of what that person experienced,
yeah.
that person's perception.
I think it's very interesting how the guy looked in there and he didn't see JonBenét. He
That
wasn't
is-
looking very good.
No.
Sometimes your eyes fool you, though.
No, you're right. And my thing is, what would be the purpose of, like, it's not like somebody then put her in afterwards. He just
Right.
obviously didn't see her.
Right. Yeah. He obviously.
You know what I
doesn't.
mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
I guess, like, I think that's important to say too, because it's not as if someone's saying that, like, after he looked, somebody ran and put her in there.
1,000%. I mean, nobody just.
So,
put
like
her-
you said, he just wasn't looking good enough.
Right. Yeah. So, the
Okay.
ransom note.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's, like, what about the obvious? So, okay, I don't know. What do you think about the
This
ransom note?
this is a problem for me. This is one of the biggest problems in this entire case for me.
Mhm.
This is the actual ransom note, a copy of it.
And it's 3 pages, right?
Yes. The problem for me in this is this person, it kind of reminds, when I think of this, I just immediately thought of Nancy Guthrie case, someone that stays there 45 minutes at the Nancy Guthrie case. Who's going to sit and write this 3-page letter after unaliving?
So what if
someone?
this person, so somebody in my comment, Truth was saying, what if this person was already there? Like, what if they didn't break in? What if they were already there before they got there? And then if that's the case, then they could have written it at any point.
It's possible. It's a possibility, sure.
But you're
I
right.
mean-
That is a very long note to write. And like some of the words, like, were a small faction.
But I'm going to kind of challenge him back on that a little bit. How did they know it was $118,000?
that's what
That's
I- like
that's a
some of the
very
words, yeah.
specific number, number one. And number two, that happened to be John's bonus at the time.
And it was written using materials from inside the home.
And yes,
But it's not proof, though.
it's not proof,
who
but it's a
wrote it.
problem.
But you're
We gotta-
right, it's a problem. And I think it's the biggest problem, right? I think it probably is. If you ask people's opinion, I would put my money on it that this is the biggest problem for people is the ransom note. And you're saying, like, you're right, like the $118,000. Now, didn't John say in this interview that they put it in the paper or something?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think
Maybe
he did say, and I don't know if it was exactly about the number, but he said that his secretary, like, they finally reached $1 billion or something. Lockheed Martin, that's what he was working for at the time. And then he made sure that he told everybody that he wasn't a billionaire. People thought that he was on salary, and that that at first he thought, maybe we shouldn't put this out there, but then, because in case people are jealous, But he said, go ahead, because I think his exact words, I have such a good memory. He says something along the lines of, the people that work here deserve a place to be proud of working at, of where they work. So he winds up putting it out there. So then my thing is, if they put it out there, then, I guess 118,000 is pretty specific.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
I
I'm
know you're
trying to like give the benefit of the doubt, but
I know you are.
118,000 is so specific.
It's so specific, and it's. Are they saying that they put his bonus in the paper?
I don't know. They said, that's what I mean. So he tells the story, like he says it. I don't know exactly where it is in the interview though, but he says something about putting it in the paper, but I don't know what part it was. I don't know if anybody remembers in chat.
Okay, so let me show you this now. I'll read it. It says, Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign, I don't know what it says.
A foreign faction.
Foreign faction, is that what it is?
Yes, that's what I mean. That itself is weird. Like, who says
Yes,
that?
it's very, very weird. And that's got a scribble. Respect your business, but not all the country that it serves. As this time we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed. And if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring I don't know what that word is. Do you know what that word is?
I don't.
It's
I
hard.
have to try to blow it up a little.
I can't see, but
I wasn't following on. I don't even know which part.
It's okay. Make sure you bring something to the site attached to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on the delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you to arrange on the caller delivery of the money. Damn, it's so hard to read. It's
I don't. Put your cursor on where you're at.
Well, I'm at page 2 now. So.
Oh, I'm gonna say I'm trying to read where you're at and I don't see it.
Let me see here. I'll blow it up 1 second.
But like attaché, who says that?
Yeah, the attaché. Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's like normal language that people use.
It seems a little
Oh, there we go.
I don't know. Money and is that hints? Her or I don't know. A pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be I don't know what that word is.
Devoid her remains.
Devoid her remains for proper burial.
Meaning that they won't get her remains back for burial.
Yeah. It's very weird how it's written.
Mm-hmm.
The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do particularly take you. So
don't. Does that say do or don't?
Don't. I think it's don't. I don't know because they got something.
Don't particularly like you, so I advise you.
Yeah.
Not to provoke them.
Yeah. Speaking to anyone about your situation as
such as the police. You want me to read it? You read a lot. Please, such as the police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If we alert bank authorities, if you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to divert us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement counterparts and tactics. And then it goes to the next page.
Okay, let me see here.
Oh, wow. They're familiar with law enforcement. And you stand 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny, as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours. It's up to you now, John. Victory, SBTC.
Okay, now I want to show you this. They did sample profiles of the Ransom note versus Patsy's writing. And these are actual samples. Thoughts, chat. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts, Dr. Vona?
Well, my thing is, so why is there so many E's? So that says to me, like, was somebody purposely trying to write different than what they write? Because wouldn't there be a more consistent E? Or why does even she have so many E's that she
Well,
does?
I think this is from different times she has written.
Right, but if in one ransom note, so they're from different times that she's written, but in one ransom note.
Oh, got you. You're talking about the ransom side.
See what I mean? So like how
Mhm.
many times, like, so they wrote that many different ways in the ransom note, which just says that in the ransom note, they were trying purposely to be undetected. But I see what you're like saying here, but you could also say, like, look at the third one down. I could argue that those two G's do not look the same. One's like slanted down, the other one's coming up. So I think a lot of it too goes with perception. Like H's, how many ways can you do an H? Like the second one to the bottom and even the bottom one, like, I don't know. I don't know that I don't know. And even the top F, like how many ways can you do an F?
So, like, if you look, I like these H's, you see how I'm not a handwriting expert by any stretch, but like it starts bigger here. They both put that
Right.
there.
So that's where or whoever starts.
Where they start and where they right here.
So this is the thing. I went to 12 years at Catholic school and we were taught like handwriting and we got in trouble if we didn't do it right. And it just looks like whoever wrote this and even her that they have like that they follow a lot of the rules in handwriting. Like I feel like there's not many other ways to do an H like that. But I see what you're saying. I definitely do. But then what do you account for that H right there? That doesn't look like the H at the bottom.
Right here?
Yeah, that doesn't have that same marker, like where the pen is.
It doesn't, but look how they both kind of slant.
Right, but then what about the one underneath it? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different ways that they're written. And my thing is also, it is weird
I
that
think this
she
one
writes,
is very similar.
but that's what it's very weird that she writes that many different ways as well. So let me put that out there.
But you know something? I write different ways sometimes.
I was going to say, I wonder if I went through like notes that I've written. I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to, after the live, I'm going to take like a screenshot of these letters. And tomorrow after work, I'm going to see if I can find something that I wrote and see if I can match my own letters to this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can, then that would mean that I'm just as much likely to have written it as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
What do you, Casey? It definitely breaks a person. Oh, my handwriting changes based on the type of pen I'm using. That, yes. A. Higgins, absolutely. Absolutely.
But we have to remember this was all in one note. So wasn't the same pen used throughout the note?
Yes.
So in the one H, you could tell that like the pen was down longer because there's a little bit of that dot at the top of it, where in other times it isn't. So could that just be the person's, like how fast they're writing that particular word?
Sure.
Because you would assume that the more of a dot that's on there, the longer the pen stayed on the paper.
And if you're trying to write like someone else, you're going to write slower. Right? Because it's you're not thinking, you're thinking to not do your natural flow. Right?
That is interesting. I'm just wondering how many of us could get a note of something that we wrote.
And it was written in manuscript as well.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it wasn't written in cursive, for instance.
Oh.
You know.
Like print, you mean?
No. Well, manuscript. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I didn't know. All right. I got what you're saying. Yeah. I got you. I'm sorry. I got you. No, but I know a lot of people don't write in cursive, but I guess her age group, they would. But a lot of people don't write in cursive too. Like my daughter, Ava, if I want to like write something and her not know.
They don't even teach cursive anymore.
Yeah. All I have to do is write it in like fancy cursive, like make it a little bit more fancy. And she doesn't, and it takes her a minute. I laugh. I'm like, oh my God.
They don't even teach kids cursive.
No.
anymore.
Mm-mm. She has
Which
to
I'm like,
sign her name
how
on
people are
it.
going to sign their name? How are they going to sign
Well,
their
that's what I
name?
mean. She had to sign something. She had to sign her first check, and it literally looks like a 4-year-old did it. I'm like, this is terrible. Like, you need to work on your signature, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't. But she would have learned it at her like the age range that she was in. Now, would an intruder have been in the age range too that they would have known it? Probably.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this intruder had to be, I mean, today, I mean, they had to be at least in their, I would say, 20s at the time of this, minimum.
Usually late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. So, they're 55 or 60 minimum today.
And if this is an intruder, right, it probably wasn't their first time that they, essayed someone. I mean, who knows? It could have been their first time being in someone's house, but it probably wasn't their first time doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Especially but if it is an intruder, then we assume that they're there long enough to write this note, then they wouldn't be anxious. I don't think, in my opinion, if we do find that's an intruder someday, I don't think that the intruder, I think their intention was to take her. I just don't think that's what happened. That's just my opinion. Like, I'm sure he wanted to take her, so who knows? He could have written the ransom note and then put it on the steps and tried to make his way out, and she just, like, he couldn't get her out the basement window.
Well, but, like, this person, in my opinion, like, did he drive in a car to get there? Did he walk?
That's true. That's true. I mean, I guess, was it back in the day, did they have cameras as much as we do now?
Mm-mm. No.
So I don't even know that we would know. And the other thing is, there were so many people that came over to the house right afterwards that a lot of the evidence, like, I don't know that the police, they probably shouldn't have let, like, all the friends come over. And didn't Patsy, like, lay her
Big
blanket on
mistake.
her and stuff?
Big mistake.
And, like, yeah, she was, like, crying over her and stuff. Like, so that could have, that could have I hate to say it that way, but yeah, it could have tampered with evidence, even not meaning to.
Right. Not in a meaningful,
right.
Like,
Like, I'm sure if they realized that that's what would be the outcome, they probably wouldn't have done that.
Right.
But they had, like, friends come over and stuff. And they brought her upstairs and laid her out on the floor, like.
It's, God, that's just got to be very difficult.
I couldn't imagine.
See, O's and P's. I mean, they're very similar. You got to admit.
That last one, whatever that last one is, what's that last one supposed to be?
An 8.
Is that a Q?
Right here?
Yeah.
It's an 8.
Is there any 8s in the note?
Yeah,
oh, yes,
118,000.
118,000. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could say that the first one, I don't know.
Look
I'm
at
trying
that.
to, like, play devil's advocate too.
You see this?
Yeah. I really can't wait to look at like just random notes that just to see how common it is to write like this, and if I could argue somebody else's writing. But there are a few things that are different. But look, so sometimes they do the T the one way and sometimes the other.
So, like, the ransom note try, and then
all right, that one is the worst of all of them so far, in my opinion.
You see, like, try.
Yeah, that one's a little much.
And then,
well, it gives it that little.
Gives it that check, and then it's longer over here.
Yeah.
It's shorter over here.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know.
See the T's. See these T's.
Yeah.
And then see the T. See that.
I mean, obviously, whoever wrote this was trying to mask their writing, because they clearly wrote all of these T's in the same note. So they're not right. Like, they're not consistent. So, but that's interesting, though, that she's also not consistent. But you're saying, like, neither are you. And I don't know if I am. I'm going to have to go and look.
I am never consistent. I was looking at my voter's registration where I signed it in 2000 and blah, 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 way early 2000s. And I'm like, I wouldn't even recognize my signature.
That's too funny. That's funny. Look at that date at the very bottom.
So, I mean, these are just very, very interesting if you ask me.
They are. I mean, that.
And again, to me, this is the biggest part for me.
I think it is for most people. Oh, look at that U at the top. And the second one, I've never seen a U, the second one.
We'll see the V, the check. She put checks on.
Even the bottom of the Y's are checks. I almost feel like the checks are what's
size and then size.
I mean, yeah. And I don't know. I'm trying to play devil's advocate too, but those V's are kind of hard to.
Yeah.
I mean, my last name is Vona, and I've never written a V that looked anything like that, or U that looked like either one of them. Oh, but I don't know. I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Too. But I could see both ways. I know. It's
see
hard.
how the E goes out here?
Yeah, it's hard not to see it.
Like here.
But again, my most interesting thing again is that the fact that this person wrote in so many different like fonts, if you will, and that she did as well over time. That's interesting to me more than anything, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's like inconsistency within like being, I don't know.
Yeah, it's being consistent with your inconsistency.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Consistently inconsistent. That's exactly what I was trying to say. See, you know what exactly what I meant. Those T's are like in the try and instruct. That's a little bit.
So from what I understand, these are samples. Casey says, okay, but how are they telling her to write in these different ways, or they like showing her a picture? No, I think they are taking. Ooh, where'd Dr. Vona go? One second.
Right.
Let me find it.
They were taking samples, like she wrote letters and stuff to the like apparently she wrote a lot.
I think they were taking samples from things inside the house where she had written. Yeah.
Yes, that were already prior.
Yeah, because you would just want to see, before any of this happened.
Right, you wouldn't want to bias it in any way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I still want to play devil's advocate here.
I do too, because this is the thing that hangs me up bad.
Me too.
Bad.
I mean, okay, I guess put a 1 in chat if this is what hangs you up, if you are like, and put a 2 if you think that, I don't know, if you eat whatever way you think, but if your mind's made up on it.
1 if it hangs you up.
I have a feeling this is going to be 1 is where this hangs people up. This hangs me up. I would be putting a 1 in chat.
Me too.
I mean, does anybody know what, like, I can't wait to see with the interview room now that they're doing this whole like investigative thing. I'm dying to know how they, like, are they just going to go back to where, like, didn't they have an FBI agent that said that it was inconclusive and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they'll probably just take that opinion that it's inconclusive.
Yeah.
I don't see them really pushing it with John on the panel.
No, they're not going to push that. Yeah. Rogue, what's and chat in general, what's the other thing that if you are hung up on this case, what is the other thing or things that makes you pause on this case?
And everybody here that voted on my thing over here did a 1.
Everyone did too, a 1 too on mine.
Yeah, both of ours. Yeah. So I think, you know what I mean? And I think I think it's valid, right? I'm dying to know what the deception detective has to say.
Oh, he
about it.
He goes all in on him.
Okay. Does he talk about the note?
He talks about it all.
Oh, I can't wait to watch all that.
Hold on, let me see if I can pull up one of his things here. He does really short videos.
Yeah, he does. When people are like, I'm not sure about this case. I know this is like one of the hardest things. I think I keep going back to the fact that why would John be fighting still so hard to solve this if he knew what happened?
Oh, he actually did a video in Deception. He's blunt. I'm just going to be straight up with you. He did a video of 1 month ago, the satisfying downfall of John Ramsey. Okay, so here we go.
Let's look at it.
Video that Savannah Guthrie's brother just released. And what do you gather from the ransom note?
I think that bottom line is Mrs. Guthrie was abducted, and it's a kidnapping. So whether there's a ransom note or not is irrelevant.
Not only is John Ramsey wrong from an investigative standpoint, he's wrong from a common sense standpoint too. So what's going on here? In today's video, let's break down his surprisingly revealing Nancy Guthrie interview to find out. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation. So if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For early access to new videos, over 60 exclusive videos, and other cool perks, consider becoming a channel member. Link in description. My videos about the JonBenét Ramsey case have amassed millions of views on YouTube, so I'm just going to assume we're all already familiar with the case facts. But new viewers might not be familiar with my personal opinion of the case. So before we grab our deception decks and start analyzing this interview, here's a quick recap of that. Based on John and Patsy's own words, I think they staged JonBenét's murder to protect their son Burke. Specifically, I think Burke bludgeoned JonBenét's head, clinically killing her, and then the parents accidentally biologically killed her when they were staging the garrote around her neck.
See, I don't know about that. I love DD. He's very fine on the eyes too. I just might add. He's very handsome.
He is very handsome.
He's very handsome. But sorry, I'm just so unprofessional. I apologize.
No, you're not. We're human.
But my chat knows that. My chat.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way. Like to run up line, he is very handsome.
But I just don't think a 9-year-old did that. See, if anybody, in my opinion, I'll just say, if anybody, in my opinion, in the house did it, I'll just say it's not Burke and it's not John. Okay. In my opinion, it's not Burke and it's not John. Are you there, Dr. Vona? Dr. Vona. She done left me. She's like, I'm out of here. She'll be back. She'll be back.
Obviously, there's a lot more nuance to my theory, and I'll link my entire playlist below if you want to binge watch it later, but that should be enough for us to get started. So without further ado, let's get into this interview.
All right, our next guest has a personal tie to a case like this. When John Ramsey's 6-year-old daughter, JonBenét, disappeared on Christmas Day back in 1996, the Ramseys found a ransom note and called the police. John Ramsey joins us now. Thank you so much for coming on with us.
You're welcome.
What do you gather from the latest video that Savannah Guthrie's brother just released? And what do you gather from the ransom note, considering you've had experience with this?
Well, I haven't seen either, but the ransom note in our case was just somebody's fantasy. And I don't know that you can take much from it. I think that bottom line is Mrs. Guthrie was abducted, and it's a kidnapping. So whether there's a ransom note or not is irrelevant.
If you want to get a kidnapping victim home alive, the ransom note tells you how to do that. If you want to catch a kidnapper, the ransom note is usually your best lead. Especially in John Ramsey's case, where it was literally the only piece of physical evidence left behind by the supposed kidnapper. In other words, what John just said is completely nonsensical, and that's actually why I think it's so revealing. Specifically, I think while he was stuttering and stammering and pausing, he was realizing just how hypocritical it would look if he told the Guthries to seriously scrutinize their ransom notes, because he did the exact opposite, as I pointed out many times in previous videos. Not only did the Ramseys immediately ignore all of its warnings, they also didn't publicize it to identify its author, even after hiring legendary FBI profiler John Douglas, who famously caught the Unabomber by doing just that. To sum it up, John's seemingly nonsensical statement here actually makes perfect sense if you see it through the lens of him being self-conscious about his own case. But he's not done twisting himself into knots just yet, so let's keep listening.
John, what does the family do in this situation? You know, I'm sure I don't know how many millions they're asking for, but I'm sure they have access to that, considering that it's such a high profile family and they have lots of high profile friends. I'm sure they have access to that kind of money when it means someone's life is on the line. But what do? Do they pay it?
No, not unless they know that she's alive. And that's what we required. We were prepared to require that in JonBenét's case. We had the money ready, but our plan, we were supposed to get a call, and our plan was, let me talk to my daughter. And if she's alive, we'll get the money to you and get her back. But that's, you just don't want to, particularly in this world, you just don't want to be sending money to anybody that,
because they're going to be scared if they let her go that she knows the whereabouts, she knows the voice, she knows what this person may or may not look like. So
thank you.
It's a really tough position for a family to be in all the way around. What's happening behind the scenes, John? What's going on behind the walls of that house, wherever the children are together?
Well, it's horrible. It's a horrible anxiety and a feeling of helplessness. What can I do? How do I get my mother back? And it's a horrible time for them. I'm sorry to say. Yeah. And, sleep's out of the question. The poor families had to wait now 5 days. And, we thought we had to wait 24 hours because the ransom note said it'll call you tomorrow. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't sleep. Obviously, I'm not going to go to bed. How am I going to function? And, but yet I felt like I needed to keep alert and be able to deal with whatever came my way. I really thought I could get my daughter back.
Earlier, John made the tactical decision to look foolish rather than hypocritical. Now he's doing the opposite. He just said they thought they'd need to wait 24 hours because JonBenét's ransom note said they'd call him tomorrow, which would make sense if the kidnapper were omniscient. Remember, collecting the ransom is the entire point of committing the very risky and dangerous crime of kidnapping someone for ransom. So the details of when, where, and how much aren't the sort of things that they just leave up to chance or are vague about. In other words, the fact alone that the ransom note said vaguely tomorrow without specifying a precise date and time is a giant tell that it was a hoax.
Oh, that's interesting.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, it happens to all of us. I will call you between 8 and 10 tomorrow. Let me see what he just said here.
Yeah, what was that in reference?
Right here.
And a feeling of helplessness. What can I do? How do I get my mother back? And it's a horrible time for them. I'm sorry to say. Yeah. And sleep's out of the question. The poor families had to wait now 5 days. And, we thought we had to wait 24 hours because the ransom note said it'll call you tomorrow. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't sleep. Obviously, I'm not going to go to bed. How am I going to function? And, but yet I felt like I needed to keep alert and be able to deal with whatever came my way. I really thought I could get my daughter back.
Earlier, John made the tactical decision to look foolish rather than hypocritical. Now he's doing the opposite. He just said they thought they'd need to wait 24 hours because JonBenét's ransom note said they'd call him tomorrow, which would make sense if the kidnapper were omniscient. Remember, collecting the ransom is the entire point of committing the very risky and dangerous crime of kidnapping someone for ransom. So the details of when, where, and how much aren't the sort of things that they just leave up to chance or are vague about. In other words, the fact alone that the ransom note said vaguely tomorrow without specifying a precise date and time is a giant tell that it was a hoax.
One thing that's interesting to me, I just thought of this. So in Nancy Guthrie case, there's allegedly these ransom notes, and they wouldn't show proof, which I don't think anybody thinks Nancy is alive now.
I don't.
And in JonBenét's case, there is this ransom letter, and she wasn't alive either.
I don't see, but the thing is, that would be assuming that he thought, or whoever, like if it's an intruder, that this person, because they would have left the ransom first and then went downstairs. So how do we know that they really meant to kill her there.
They put a garrote around her. But
Well,
I mean,
right,
like,
but I'm
a
saying, what if
ransom
they
letter
tried to
is
get her out?
but a ransom
I
letter is
see.
to get them back alive.
I see what you're saying. So what was the point? So, but wouldn't that be more of a reason to think that it was an intruder? Because why would somebody write a ransom note knowing that she's going to be found in the basement?
Exactly. And why would somebody write a ransom letter knowing that they can't show Nancy?
Fair.
You know what
see.
I mean?
Yeah, I
It's
do. I
it's
do.
it's weird. It's weird.
It is weird.
Because
It
most
is
people
weird.
who do ransom, they're doing it strictly for money.
100%. Right. What would be
Right.
the point other than to
Right.
get
I mean,
something from it?
it's
And
not for
right.
fun, right? Like they want money.
Hmm. I wonder what are people in chat saying too. I wonder. I can't see chat anymore, you guys. So just in case anybody's writing something to
Um,
me, just know that I'm not ignoring you.
and now I feed her. Okay, let's see here.
I
Delay
didn't know if
time, in
anybody had
my
any
opinion.
picture.
Burke's interview when he was a child was wild. How do we know the ransom letter isn't written by someone just wanting money? Well, I mean, in JonBenét's case, they killed her and she's in the house. So why would you kill this child knowing that they're going to find her in the house?
Well, I don't know why they wouldn't just walk out like any other door, but if you're thinking that they were trying to leave through the window, maybe they couldn't get her out the window and then decided to like do whatever there. I mean, that would be one theory. I'm not saying that that's
Well, that's a great point. Let's think of this. This person in JonBenét, right? They broke in the house somehow, some way they got in the house.
Mhm.
And they went upstairs. They got JonBenét. Nobody heard it. They wrote this 3-page letter with the $118,000, which just happened to be John Ramsey's bonus of that year.
Mhm.
And then they took her downstairs and put a garrote around her, and they left out a window that had like a bucket or something where they could get out.
A suitcase, right?
Yeah, it was a suitcase or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
what if I mean, I don't know, what if that's how they thought like I mean, you'd be surprised at how rigid I guess people could what if that's how the person was getting out and they couldn't get her out that way and they were like, "Well, nobody's
well, why
heard me."
wouldn't you
So
just go out the damn front door?
that's what I'm thinking. What if they thought that there was like
I mean, you done
videos of
went
some sort?
upstairs, done wrote a 3-page letter.
Yeah, that's
Why
true.
not just go out the front door or the
I
back
don't
door? Or
I know. That's why this case is so like that's why I think people still talk about it to this day because there's so many answers that, are still there's so many questions that are still unanswered. And the biggest one to me is having to do with the ransom note.
yeah,
I'm curious to see how the interview room is going to cover that.
I
Because
don't
you're
know.
good. I mean, I would assume that they would have to cover that. If they don't cover that, I feel like it's not gonna give credence to the other. Like, I feel like if I'm covering this, or if because they're asking people, they're like, even if you have a idea about it from before, like just listen and wait until the end. Da da da. So I would assume that you would have to include the ransom note.
And Truth Exposed says they went into the house when nobody was home, wrote the note, and fully intended on kidnapping her. Then why didn't
That's
they
what
kidnap
I
her?
just said.
But why didn't they kidnap her?
That's
Why put a
yeah,
garage?
truth. Why
I
don't you
mean, why
think?
not say, rather than unalive her, why not say, fine, if I can't take you, little girl, go back upstairs. I'm leaving.
Well, because there was a fantasy there, so the fantasy had to be enacted. But the thing is, why did they enact it there as opposed to taking her out of the house? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that there's like
Well, and then just the ransom letter. It's like
the truth. I
the
wonder what
fantasy.
yeah, the fantasy part. I feel like there's a fantasy there.
So let's talk about that a second. The fantasy part, if they why would they write the letter if this was just the fantasy of this?
To try to get them to look somewhere else. Because again, I don't know that, I mean, I don't know. I wonder what other people think that, also, but that is a possibility that they were intending to take her out of the house. And it just didn't. I mean, what if they like SA'd her right there thinking that, I don't know. I don't know. That is a good question. I don't know. I'm gonna have to ponder that one.
Yeah. A. Higgins says, why'd they leave the body and the note? I still don't think that they went out the window because the door on the wine cellar wouldn't have been locked from the outside if he left from the inside. Well, there was the wine cellar. You could lock it from the top and he just went out the window. I think that's what you mean.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. He went out the window. And Truth was
Yeah.
saying about like the autoerotic thing, like with the garage. I totally get that, but I guess the question is, why do it there as opposed to taking her out of the house and then enacting your fantasy somewhere else? So I guess that's the big question. Like, why would the person stay there instead of just taking her out the front door?
Mm-hmm. So do you believe the note was to, even if it was someone in the house or outside the house, it was to throw off?
Probably, yes. And I think that there's a big chance that it could be an intruder in this instance, like if I'm taking the fantasy part, because,
Right.
and True said it too, like, and this is what I was saying earlier, it could just be that was his plan to take her out, and maybe he, that fantasy was just too great in that moment that he couldn't help himself, and he figured he would, I don't know, maybe he couldn't hold back and like did something right there. I'm not really sure. I'm not a predator, so I don't know for sure. But if there is like a fantasy part, I would assume that you want to get to the fantasy sooner. But then again, you're taking out the time to write a 3-page note too. There's just,
Yeah.
but that 3-page note could have been written, like she was saying too. He could have been in the house. How do we know that he wasn't already in the house before they got home?
To me, that's very risky. To be in the house when.
Well, it would be risky either way. So
It's
I mean,
risky,
if you just
yeah.
hid
Either way, yeah.
in the closet or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people have done it before. I don't know. I guess that's why we're still talking about it too, right? And why we're still trying to investigate it and figure it out, because people do want answers. They do want to figure it out, and it is a mystery. And assuming that John doesn't know what happened, I couldn't imagine being in his shoes. You know what I mean? Like not only losing 2 kids, but not knowing what happened. I mean, again, assuming that, I'm dying to know with the interview room, because they said that they have over 200 experts from all over the world, and they're willing to use everything, da da da. So I'm dying to know what they come up with.
Pointed out in one of my earliest videos about this case. And the interesting thing here is John only started saying this thing about the waiting 24 hours after I put out this video. I don't even think he realized that if there were actually a kidnapping, there's no way they could have known if Patsy would have read the note before midnight. And that's a common mistake for hoaxers to make, because they already know everything. They're already in the author's head because they are the author. So they know what their made up kidnapper knows or will ever know. First, John looked foolish, and now that he's trying to repair a major plot hole in his story, he's looking hypocritical because he's never said this before, at least not that I'm aware of. But he is about to mention something he's harped on about a lot, and that's the supposed kidnapper's DNA evidence, which I see a lot of people fall for. So let's listen to how he frames it, and then we'll break it down.
So that's the key. Bring in every resource you get your hands on. Don't let ego and pride and this is my territory. Right. That's irrelevant. That shouldn't be part of the decision-making process.
What about lie detector tests? Because I know they haven't ruled out anyone as a suspect. I'm not saying that anyone in the family might have done that.
Now, there was, she wasn't SA'd.
She wasn't?
I don't think so. No, because I'm looking.
I thought they found DNA in her underwear. And I thought they said, are we sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would be
Uh,
interesting. So then why would, I don't know. That would be interesting if she
hold
wasn't a
on.
saint.
No, maybe she was. Yes, according to the autopsy finding, 6-year-old JonBenét was the victim of forcible SA. The coroner's report
Yeah,
documents trauma, scraping,
that's what I
and
thought.
swelling in her
Yeah,
vaginal area, as well as.
yeah.
Well,
There's
I'm
no
reading
reason.
it right here. It says genitalia, the upper proportions of the adjuvant contains no abnormalities.
Well, what about the
The
lower portions of it?
uterus measures 3 times 1 times 0.8 centimeters is unremarkable. The cervical OS contains no abnormalities. Both fallopian tubes and ovaries are prepubescent and unremarkable by gross examination.
Yeah, but there are inside things like the cervix and the uterus, and
Okay.
Or did
you
do
know.
this.
I thought they found DNA in her underwear, right?
Yeah, I thought so too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always a possibility. If you watch any crime show, it's usually the family or someone that has access inside the home, someone that knows this individual and has that information. Is everyone getting a polygraph test right now? What's happening on that end behind the scenes?
No, I don't think so. I think that to me, the key piece is the DNA. They've treated the crime scene, they've treated the house as a crime scene, which is critical. They need to scour the house thoroughly for DNA. And if they get what they believe is unidentified DNA that they can't trace, then.
So my question is, if I got to be careful with my words here, if she was SA'd, okay, why couldn't they just do a vaginal swab and get some DNA?
Well, that would be assuming that they penetrated her with a penis. There's other things. I mean, they might have, but there could have been other reasons to have a swollen vagina. Or they could have and just not left DNA behind. I mean, you also have to remember this was what, 1997?
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, it says, I'm reading by the Denver Post Legal Affairs. It says that the Boulder, Colorado, John Meyer found scraping and swelling of her region, as well as a series of scrapes on the back of her right shoulder, left lower back, and left lower leg. Sheila Rappaport, a Denver prosecutor who tried individuals accused of SA or unaliving small children, said such a pattern is indicative of a forcible S attack.
Yes.
Rappaport said the scraping of JonBenét's back may have been caused as the helpless child lay on her back as the SA by the unaliver, the killer. JonBenét could have been moved about by her attacker, causing the scraping. Rappaport said, quote, there would appear to be trauma to her back area, and that one could hypothesize rather that it is inflicted during the course of SA, said the prosecutor. I would assume there was some movement or pressure or force that would cause that, especially when we were talking about scraping.
100%.
Usually there is some movement involved there. Rappaport said that without knowing the severity of the size of the abrasions, it would be difficult to say the degree of the force used. Obviously, there was force used and mistreatment, but in terms of degree of force, I'd be hard pressed to say.
So he's saying like how, deep are the scrapes or how big are they? But regardless, right, to get scrapes, there has to be forcible, like friction against the ground or something. It's horrifying. I hope to God they find this person.
I hope
And
they.
but that also, like, the more you say like the things that they found, the more like unlikely, in my opinion, that it would be someone in the house. Like, to me, if it was someone in the house, in my opinion, it would have been more like somebody accidentally hit her in the head type thing. But again, I'm not saying that's how I feel. I'm
Right.
saying if.
Right.
But like the fact that there's like the vaginal swelling and the scrapes and the garrote and like all the other things, like to me, that stuff outweighs the note, which is why I think I'm stuck here. Because if the note was enough, I would just be like, they're guilty. But I don't
Right.
necessarily think that. So it's like, what's pulling the other side of the pendulum? And it's definitely that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, who
That
does
DNA
that?
needs to
Sorry. What's that?
No, I was just saying, like, who would do that to their kid, I mean, there are people that would, but in
Yeah.
this case, I don't know.
Well,
that
I mean,
that's
but there are people that will use things as well. You know what I mean? To
Mhm.
make it seem like that happened, but you got to be a real
Yeah, but
sick
you would have to go
mofo.
to the extreme of getting a swollen vagina. And they could tell if the scrapes are there post or like pre or post mortem,
Yeah.
I would think.
Now, swelling does happen
Maybe you
after
were
you
in
die
much
as well. Just there's that as well.
that there is that. My daughter just told me about how that she's like,
Oh,
Mom, I
she's going
thought
to be
this
a
was.
mortician, isn't she?
Well, now she wants to be a pathologist. She keeps changing
Okay.
her mind,
Well,
but she does want to work in that field. Yes. But she's
yeah.
like, Mom,
I've
she's
worked
like, I
in 3
thought
funeral homes, so
that's what, yes, I was
yeah.
telling her. And,
Yeah.
but she said there was this woman she thought was real big, but they pulled a plug out and all the gases, like her whole stomach went down. So you're right. Like you would assume that gases would start. But my thing is, wouldn't there be gases everywhere in the body and not just like, wouldn't it be swelling everywhere and not just the
Well,
vagina?
there's difference in swelling and gases. There's
Right.
a
Well,
difference.
I'm saying like anything, either way, like if there was gases or swelling, like if there's swelling here, wouldn't you assume that there'd be swelling in other places too and not just there?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Well, school me. Like, is that something like that's normal to see swelling in like certain areas and not others?
If there's trauma.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So you would have to assume that somebody would do something like in order to make this look like it was something else.
Right.
Like, could
Right.
you really do all that?
I don't know.
You know?
I
I
hope
don't.
not. I pray to God not.
Mhm.
go to an outside lab like an Othram or a Parabon who can implement investigative genetic genealogy. That's the latest and greatest technique for solving, or at least identifying the culprit. It's if they can do that, they've had a pretty good shot at identifying who this is.
There's a reason John Ramsey always steers the conversation to the supposed bombshell DNA evidence, and that's because it's a great distraction. Lots of people seem to follow that red herring because it's scientific, but the fact of the matter is the way he presents it is completely misleading. As I've explained many times, but probably the best way I explained it was in this video, so I'm just going to play you that clip debunking John Ramsey's DNA evidence claim. So the question I often get is, well, DD, if Burke killed JonBenét, how do you explain the unidentified DNA? The issue here is that the question is based on a fallacy, that whoever left that DNA must be the killer. But that's not necessarily true. The Ramseys were at a Christmas party that night, and that trace DNA could have come from anyone who'd ever been in that house. The Ramseys' own home was bustling with staff, police, and visitors the very morning JonBenét's body was found. Even the supposed evidence that JonBenét was alive when the garrote was applied doesn't rule out Burke clinically killing her with blunt force trauma and the parents biologically killing her with the garrote during the cover-up without ever even knowing. My main point is, if all the evidence is pertinent and it all neatly leads to a single evil mastermind, right before credits roll, you're watching a TV show. Real life is chaotic, full of trade-offs, opportunism, mistakes, stupidity, and randomness. Long story short, the presence of unidentified DNA doesn't somehow magically clear anybody else of a crime, and I think John Ramsey knows that. And that sort of deceptive misdirection just isn't something that honest people do, much less contradict themselves and change their stories like I pointed out earlier in this video. But let me know your thoughts about John Ramsey and the Nancy Guthrie case in the comments below. You can find my entire analysis about both cases on the end screen. For more like this, like, share, and hit the hype button if it's available. Until next time, stay true.
So
Go ahead.
you could also, he also said
I
right
think the
before that
reason
too,
this
that
Sorry.
that people, no, I was going to just say, he also pointed out too that, oh, what did he say? That things don't go as planned usually and stuff. That could also, you could argue that that could be why there's a ransom note too, right? So like you could argue that both ways.
Say that again. What do you mean? Say that again.
Like deception detective said that most people like in crimes like this and stuff, that things go, they don't usually go as planned, like with the, lights, camera, action type thing.
It never
But you
goes
could
as planned for
say,
anybody.
right, but you
Either
could
way,
also say that it didn't go as planned, right? Because the person,
1000%.
so you could argue that both ways, right? Because he's arguing it the
Yes.
one way, but you could also argue it the other way.
Yes.
That same thing. That's all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Here's that. I sent you some
Yes,
screenshots
thank
of
you.
those.
I
You're
got some of
welcome.
it. Thank you so much.
So here is, this is where she was found, right? It's the boiler room and the wine cellar. And I guess is that a door?
Isn't it
Right
right
there?
off of
Oh, it's this house is like a maze.
it
See,
really
right
is.
here's the window.
Was she found in the very back one or the one in between that and the like main part?
We're like right here, I'm pretty sure. Like JonBenét's body right here.
Okay.
She was found here. Wine cellar door opens outwards.
Okay,
right
and
here.
then that would be like the main part right there where the window was, right? The big part.
Right here?
Yeah, like that whole section.
Yes. This is
Or is
where
there
like
more? Oh my gosh, this thing is so big.
yeah, and this is just the basement. This is only the
Wait,
basement.
where's the window that goes outside?
Right here.
Okay, so it is there. Okay, I got it.
Right here.
Now I could see my. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find that.
That's literally a maze.
When you see this, it is crazy. Hold on,
Like
watch
to get
this.
to that one room, like adjacent from it, like you have to go all the way around and then all the way back down.
What's that?
Like to go, even just to get to the room right next to it, like on the other side of it, like you would have to go all the way around and come all the way. Like it's literally a maze.
Watch this.
Home makes the house look much smaller than it is. It is a massive home, 7,000 square feet. The size comes from its length and height. It stretches back and upward on the lot. There are 4 floors in this home. JonBenét's body was found in this corner of the basement of the home. Her bedroom is here on the 2nd floor. This is the balcony outside her bedroom. Inside, it is all white. It was a very colorful room with wall hangings, toys, stuffed animals, a bright-colored bedspread. This is JonBenét's bathroom. Next to the bathroom is the door leading directly from her bedroom to the balcony. To give you some perspective, JonBenét's bedroom is behind and above me.
You would think that they would come from the balcony, wouldn't you?
I was just going to say, why wouldn't they take her out the balcony? Although it looks like it's hard to get out there.
I know, but it's a damn risky thing to go down. I don't know.
No, it is.
To give you some perspective, JonBenét's bedroom is behind.
Hold on. I want to see something. I gotta see it. 1 second.
Her bedroom.
Although you might think that by bringing her in the basement, like if you made noise, that you wouldn't hear it as much as if you made noise right there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's why.
Maybe. Okay, now watch this. Watch this.
From her bedroom to the balcony. To give you some perspective, JonBenét's bedroom is behind and above me. On the other end of the house is her brother Burke's bedroom. Above Burke's bedroom is where her parents' bed was.
Wow.
Shown from the outside of the home, this is JonBenét's bedroom. Across the house on the 2nd floor on the east end of the home is Burke's room, a room partially covered with wallpaper that has model airplanes. Above Burke's room is Patsy and John Ramsey's bedroom. Their bedroom stretched across most of the 3rd floor. Their bed was here, the opposite end of the house from their daughter's bedroom. The morning of December 26th, Patsy Ramsey says she walked from the bed and across the master bedroom, down the back staircase from 3rd to 2nd floor. At this point, she is a few steps from JonBenét's bedroom. She continued from the second floor to the first floor on the spiral staircase. Patsy Ramsey told police she found the ransom note on one of the bottom steps of.
You see how it's like there's so many staircases.
It really is.
It's a maze.
The spiral staircase. This is the much talked about spiral staircase in the Ramsey home. There are 9 outside doors in the Ramsey home. There are 104 windows, 100 of them open to the outside. There are a variety of locks on the doors and windows in the Ramsey home. Whoever killed JonBenét Ramsey walked down these stairs from the main floor to the basement. The killer turned right onto a small landing and then walked straight ahead to a room at the end of the hall. There was a plywood board here acting as a door. JonBenét's body was found in this room. It is roughed out concrete from floor to ceiling. Her mouth and wrists were wrapped in duct tape. There was a knotted rope around her neck. John Ramsey found his daughter's body in this room. He carried her up these stairs to the living room. The living room was the gathering place for the family and the police. A Christmas tree was here, decorations, the police, Patsy and John Ramsey, friends, and JonBenét's body. Paula Woodward, 9 News.
I think. Oops, I do not want that interview. I didn't mean to. The killer had to know the house.
Oh, for sure, because you would get lost even going to the basement, I would assume.
Well, they knew that they knew the $118,000.
Yes, and they knew where her bedroom was.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were there before they got home, they would have been able to find that. So you could also say that.
Yeah, but sometimes it takes you a 7,000 square foot house. You're gonna have to get accustomed to it a little bit.
Yeah, that's a huge house.
You're gonna get lost.
It's a really big house.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you there. I mean, is it like, I don't know though, what was available to people out there then? Like, you know how like today you could go on Zillow? Like, was there access to like, I'm just trying to like think of all the
1996, no. There wasn't,
right?
Google wasn't
so
even.
Then you would have to know this house. You wouldn't just like they couldn't look up the floor plan, right? Like we just did.
No. Different time.
Well, that's a good point, right?
There wasn't Google, there wasn't YouTube, none of that.
Back in the day.
There wasn't social media.
No, they were the good old days.
Nope. Hardly anybody had cell phones.
That's when we went outside and like hung out.
Yeah, when we were humans.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Vona, for coming on. We've got to do this again. We've got to do this
can we?
again.
Because, and didn't they say, so whenever they drop the next one, we'll do it again, like right away, like we did this one.
Yeah. We
sound good?
Do 10 minutes of that video. But
and you guys, I'm going to ask Justin. So this is the thing. If you guys are part of Justin's crew, I'm going to ask Justin to come on soon and give us his perspective about the Sherilla case. So about Mackenzie Sherilla. So if you are part of Justin's crew, hopefully you're going to be part of my crew too, and you come subscribe, and vice versa, that my people, I'm sure they already are subscribed, but if there's a rare chance that somebody isn't, please go subscribe. But we're going to get his take on the Sherilla case, you guys. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I just watched the documentary. I was crazy.
Oh, you need to go listen to some of the jail calls. Look up Sherilla the Killer and listen to the jail calls.
But I know Little Princess.
And Sherilla the Killer has them like all in like, so you could listen to them like hours at a time. You're gonna die. You're gonna be texting me like what the actual.
I might listen to them tonight as I doze out.
Oh, oh my God, you're gonna have nightmares. It is a good thing to doze out too, though. I did that last night.
Yeah. Is that what
Thank you guys so much. What's that?
Is that what you listened to last night?
That's what I listened, and I'm probably going to listen to more of it going to bed tonight. My kids are like, "Mom, you're like, that's like too much now." I'm like, I know. I have everybody.
You have to be in true crime to listen to horror things. You just have to be that personality.
I used to go to bed and like get nightmares sometimes, and my husband would be like, I'd be like, I don't know why I'm getting these nightmares. And he's like, it could be that you go to bed with Nancy Grace on. I'm like, and he's like, of all people, she'll be like, and your dead child. And I'm like, she really does go in hard, doesn't she? She'll be
Yeah.
like, and how do you feel that your dead child was wrapped in a trash bag and thrown out? And I'm like, oh my God, Nancy, like, relax. Like you're talking to the parent. But I love her. I still watched every night.
I love Nancy. I love Nancy.
But I'm like, you probably have a point. That was probably the root. But then I still go to bed to Nancy. I don't care. It's worth it.
Yeah. You just have to be, like you say, your husband probably doesn't understand the true crime like mine doesn't either. So
Yeah,
like,
he laughs about it
why
now.
do you do that? It's like,
I know.
it's so depressing. I'm like, I'm passionate about this stuff. Like,
Me too. I got my husband into the Shirley case though. He can't stand her.
I
He
don't
like
think
has a
anybody
visceral
can.
reaction.
I don't think I like the only one that seems to really like her is herself and her parents.
I was gonna say her mom and her dad. Oh,
Yeah.
her poor sister. I would love to see like do they even pay attention to the sister? Did you even know she had a sister? You know what I mean?
I didn't.
Exactly.
She's the favorite
Everything.
child.
She's the only thing.
Is she the oldest?
Yes.
I
But she
figured.
happened to be like the one that was like popular, pretty, into fashion, type A personality, like thought very highly of herself. But wait till you hear how she talks to her parents. You're going to be like, oh my gosh. She like literally yells at her mom and tells her to get her iPad right now and to call the warden and tell him to get her off of this floor. I'm like, oh my God, does she know where she's at?
About it the other day where the mother is managing her Facebook and her social media platforms.
Mm-hmm. It's so
I'm
bad.
like, you are kidding me.
And wait till you hear, when you hear these calls, it'll all make sense. Like she tells her mom not only to start that page, but like what to do with it, and tells her like that there needs to be a protest. Like she wanted people to protest in the streets that she was innocent. I'm like that just shows how like delusional, and her mom feeds into it. Her mom will be like, you
How
didn't do
entitled.
anything wrong.
How entitled.
So
she is.
entitled. So entitled.
It's
so
like
bad.
she thinks she's
I did
like
actually
a
a short
Trayvon
that says,
Martin or something,
well,
like
I did
mass protest.
yes, exactly. I did a short that says entitled. I'll have to send it to you because it's literally just like a piece of one of her audios, and you'll just be like, oh my gosh. It's
Send it to
crazy.
me.
Oh, I
Yeah.
will. It's crazy. But thank you guys so much
Thank
for having
you.
me. I love coming here with you. Thank you
Love
for,
you.
and I'm definitely gonna take you up on you coming on the
Please
channel.
just let me know when and I'll be there.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
my
you
dear.
guys.
All
Good
right.
night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Really do appreciate you. Special thanks to Dr. Vona. I love having her on, and I will be over there real soon. Tomorrow we will be talking about Nancy Guthrie, and we will be talking about Daniel Martell. Before this live stream, Daniel was live, and I was giving him hell. I came on this live just Nancy did I say Annie? Sorry, Nancy Guthrie. I don't know why I said Annie. I don't know. But I will be here tomorrow for Nancy Guthrie. And of course, Jack and Lily Sullivan and all that. So get some rest, everyone. I gotta be up in 5 hours. Ooh, vey. Good night, everyone. God bless.